You who are the perfect, beautiful body, who is full of wisdom, blessed, and to dispel the darkness of worldly ignorance, are posed before you and praise you, Manjushri. At the heart chakra is a sun disk on which Manjushri. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You can hear, right? Song is okay?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm just morning. First, I use the wireless. So if something wrong, so let me know. And then I can change. Dangre doje shaje reisen rong yin je me do de je pong jong ba ser je lembo da ver ji pe ge xiao je jar be xiao la so ruan de do jin chang jin de lo na ro dang mar ba me lai chi je gan bo ba ba mo zhe ba jar wa yin ji gong Kaju lama nang lai so ruan de re o men chi je yen je bo dan de ti zong san je gen je ngo wo nye rang san chi ge ngo song dong ze be za ve lang ve ja lai so ruan de. So now I'm going to go into the teaching, Way of Bodhisattva. So Way of Bodhisattva, we have chapter 10, we are chapter 9, wisdom section. So then this wisdom chapter is the Shantideva, he debating or clarify this all the different schools of view perceptions. And these different many schools accepting permanent self or permanent consciousness, so something like that. So this so far he debating with all is like who accepting something like what to call it, we usually talk about the two extremes, like something like that, accepting permanent nihilism, internalism. So he debated with internalism. So main point Shantideva going to approving is nothing is permanently exist inherently. So your consciousness or mind, subject or object or the phenomena is this both are no exist. So same is like dream, you know. When we have a dream, so we have an object and a subject, but when you wake up, subject, object, both are gone, you know, both are delusion. So nothing is existed there. So that's the he going to approving. So today today is like the Lord with samja. So in this section, samja score. So today we're going to debating with the samja score. First sections. Then last, like we talked this, introducing the object of meditation, attentiveness. So this attentiveness of a person, general refutation of a person attentiveness, and then that section like 1, 2, 3, 4 verses. These 4 verses talk about, the self is not our body. So you think about this all look to yourself. Your body is not self. So that is ordinary people, even not someone follow the religions, just everyone think self means like our five aggregates. So when you born, you have that. So you don't have to follow any kind of a belief in the religion system. So that's called the nature self. Nature self means like everyone has that self. So we always think this our body and included five aggregates is self. Uh, so this nature self, when we was born to naturally, we have that thinking about self is five aggregates. So Shantideva said that's also self is not exist in the five aggregates. And then today is called Kingta, is Tibetan called Kingta means follow the religion and follow your just some kind of like difference, and then you believe that system, and then actually create the self. So this samjas that talk about mind consciousness is self. So that is the long as you follow this religion, then you believe that system. So it's called create self. Actually, we don't have this when we was born. We thinking about all this consciousness is permanent. It is a self. But as long as you follow this religion, and then you believe this system, so it's called creating self. Follow the wrong view. So no, this religion, uh, so it's very similar Chitta Mataran. And also, all the non-Buddhists mostly is come from this source of this Samkhya schools. This is the oldest religion. And then this also have a really many things good conduct part. But probably something you accepting through extreme something, then that is incorrect. So Shantideva here going to debate with this school. So this school accepting, is self-consciousness. So this is like you can see here what this school says. The refutation of the self postulated by the Samkhya school, so the belief system, Samkhya school. The Samkhya school is a non-Buddhist tradition of philosophy founded in ancient India by the Rishi Kapala. So he is the founder of the religion. So then the followers of this system, this religion system, believe that all phenomena except permanent and unchanging self are created from in all providing primal substance, pakati. So this religion main point two. Two is like one is this one, permanent. So this is the or providing primal substance. So it's called the pakati or something, Sanskrit. Tibetan called zowo is like principle. So this principle zowo, permanent, so primal substance, he create everything. That creator. So he create, but he didn't use the object. This really funny. They look like this religion has same as the mirror. Mirror has both sides. We have a mirror. You have both sides. Can see. And the other hand is like self consciousness. permanent self-consciousness in. This is like, here is like right now is providing primal substances like same as the mirror. Okay, two sides of the mirror. And then another hand is Dashirek means like permanent consciousness self is into the aperture in this mirror. And the other hand, all these phenomena aperture in this mirror. So then actually the mirror can see the like, actually all the phenomena is aperture in the mirror. So that reason they said this mirror is creator. So like that, this is Samkhya saying. And then this is like there, but who going to use that is permanent self consciousness. So he also appeared to in the mirror another side. So then he stuck with all this object, sound, forms, taste, this all senses object. He using this object then he stuck with that until liberating. So this self-permanent consciousness using all the object. So this two side of mirror is like it's creator. So that says creator. It is a primal substance. That create everything because all this phenomena is arising. That's kind of like from from this primal substance. So that's why it's like you have a mirror see all these forms, everything appear to there. So like that kind, all this phenomena is he create, primal substance create. But then primal substance is no self, is permanent, creator is permanent, no self. Then who is the self? Is the consciousness is the self. Permanent consciousness is self. He going to use all this permanent substance. He create object, the conscious permanent self using everything. So permanent self then stuck with this all object. So that's their view, It's very similar Chitta Material. Usually Chitta Material also talk about a permanent mind, permanent mind, consciousness. And they also like that is the self. And then Chitta Material also talk about another like what called the mind is like, so we talk about creator mind, like Kalasha, or what is it, the consciousness, another Alasha or Kalasha?
Klesha is like a negative.
The alaya consciousness, I think, is what you're asking.
Oh, can you say again that one? Yeah.
Alaya.
Alaya consciousness. So
Yeah,
that kind of alaya consciousness is the same as this primal substance. Alaya consciousness is the same as primal substance consciousness because he created everything. So this both are permanent. They say this too is permanent. Other all phenomena is impermanent. So primal substance is permanent. Self-consciousness is permanent. Other all object is impermanent. So that's their view. Pakata. So when the self comes into contact with the self, like consciousness comes into contact with this primal substance, are series of manifestation. Then all these manifestation objects, such as the intellect, the sense faculties, like we have like faculties, each sense is sense faculties. Then long as you have faculties and the object of the senses issue forth from it and are then experienced by the self. See this, then self using this, self has experienced this. Self is the consciousness. Primal substance is that didn't have any experience because just he created, but he didn't have experience. he didn't recognize actually there's he creating, but just kind of he naturally creating. But self permanent, here is the primal substance. He created this all object, but he no using. But who use this self consciousness? The primal substance is a permanent. See, they also accept this primal substance also permanent, and partless and universal matter which creates and is the nature of phenomena in the experience world. So this primal substance create all this world, everything come from this primal substance. Everything come from primal substance. This self is unchanging consciousness principle that becomes bound to the world through its first identification with the manifestations of the primal substance. So then self is also unchanging. Self is consciousness, the principle that becomes bound to the world through its first means like he's stuck with in this all phenomena. Phenomena is actually no exist, but he didn't recognize. He's stuck with all these phenomena. Consciousness, unchanging consciousness is I see the world through itself first, identification with the manifestation of the primal substance. Then this all the phenomena is actually come from this primal substance. Primal substance create all this phenomena object actually not permanent. It's impermanent. It's first, no exist permanently. But self-permanent consciousness mind, he using this all object. Then that's the reason he stuck there and go to samsara. So that's their view. It's very similar Chitta Materen, but Chitta Materen actually didn't say the self, mind is self permanent. They just say mind is permanent, but they don't say mind is self. So this said the mind is a self. Okay, and here the actually Mayamika school teachers and the Shantideva all going to debating with who accept self-permanent consciousness, who accept a self-permanent object. So that the main point is Shantideva don't accept permanent self consciousness. He don't accept permanent self object. So this mostly non-Buddhist is accept self is consciousness permanent or non-consciousness in object self permanent. So no mind self, just object permanent. Object is self. So they also accept some acceptance. Self means object, not the mind. So then many these different religions is between in that two kind of this between. So then also some like see this Buddhist school, the Vipashika Sattandaren, they accept the self. The self is moment changing, moment changing. They accept moment to moment change. The self is. They accept self, but self is moment to moment change. But then this mostly non-Buddhist schools accept self is unchanging. They don't accept moment to moment change. They accept permanent. So Shantideva in this Mayamika teachers, they don't accept self. That means self, they say self is delusion. Actually, you investigate. Mind is not self, object is not self, cannot be between in the two. So self is not exist. Liberation means that you recognize selflessness of a person, selflessness of phenomena. If you don't recognize that, you don't have realized that, you cannot liberate. So that's the reason they're debating. And long as you study this all different schools, you more understanding, you get knowledge more, and you know the different schools, what the views, and then you really understanding the Mayaminka view is the, free from all these extremes, is like you really understand what means absolute truth. So that's the Shantideva is going to debating. So now Mayaminka said, going to debate with
Khenpo,
is he talk about
Khenpo, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you've asked us to let you know when you're breaking up a lot. So, and you're starting to break up and your picture is freezing. So I don't know if you can change those conditions or not.
Picture stuck is okay, but words is stuck or no?
Words are getting stuck too, yes.
Mm. So it's better maybe.
It's been getting increasingly worse with the words, so.
Khenpo, if you turn off the video, that will increase the volume transfer. So that probably help a little bit if you cannot improve the network.
Okay, so now I'm saying okay. So video is always better. So it's teaching time, have to see the face to face too. Easy to share the teaching. So now I'm going to use the hotspot. Is better?
Right now it sounds better, yes.
Okay, so I think it's okay. So now, see, Shantideva is going to, Shantideva main point is not going to accept what this Samchas Gor say. So reason is that accept a permanent self-consciousness. So then permanent self-consciousness, you have to receive these all forms, songs, tastes, the five senses object all have to receive, the consciousness have to receive it. If the mind is permanent, then this permanent consciousness cannot receive the sound and forms because it's unchanging, self-permanent mind is unchanging. Can you hear, right? Okay. Yeah. So now here, if the consciousness that apprehends sounds were a permanent self, so Shantideva here is going to debating is a dialogue with the first use of the sounds. Then it's same as like form and also feeling, actually taste and everything, like just same thing, same logic. And your Shantideva say your consciousness is permanent, that permanent. So then if the consciousness that apprehends sound were a permanent self, there would be a conscious apprehension of sound at all times, even when sound was absent. So Shantideva says you can have to hear the sound all the time, 24 hours, because your consciousness is permanent. So if you don't hear, your consciousness cannot be permanent. Then the sound also actually cannot change, because one song, exactly same song, have to hear all the time, 24 hours. So even actually, you hearing this like song different kind, sometimes you don't have the object, but you have to hear the song still, because your consciousness is permanent, not dependent the object. It's independent. Permanent means independent. So then consciousness means like you have to receive this or object. And then you have to receive the song. You have to hear all the 24 hours sound, even no object there. Sound was absent. But since the consciousness of song is dependent upon the sound, so then this song is dependent actually the object sound. If there were no sound as an object of consciousness, so then sound is like dependent upon song. If there's no sound as an object of consciousness, for what reason and through the cognition of what object could it be called a consciousness that apprehends sound? If no sound object there, then you say this consciousness is like permanent conscious, receiving this, the subject is a song, subject object. We have a subject object all the time. So this is right now we're not talking about the non-dualistic. So you always have a subject and object. The consciousness, receive the sound. So that is the subject of the consciousness, object the sound. If object no sound is there, still you have a subject, consciousness. Then Shantideva say, how can call that is a consciousness subject of the sound? Because no object there. Without object, how you can call that is a subject? Do you understand? Okay. So think about it, if your mind going to receive this cup, if this cup is not there, but then you have this receiving this consciousness, still the cup receiving the consciousness is there or no? No, right? Because of no object. So Shantideva say, okay, without a cup, there's still you say your consciousness is like cup's consciousness, receiving the cup consciousness. That's not possible because of no object. How you can call that? Your cup consciousness means must be cup object is in there. Then you say, oh, my consciousness, mind is subject. This cup is object. This cup is appear to the mind. So mind then apprehend this cup. So that time that consciousness is a cup apprehending consciousness. Yeah. But then no cup, there's still cup apprehending. I think that word is like apprehending. So the consciousness cannot be that because without a cup. So how can call that mind is still, you said the object song is, apprehending. Object could, object could it be called a consciousness that apprehends sound? Then how you can call that apprehend the sound, because no sound. So if they say yes, that time no consciousness, then consciousness is not permanent, it's gone. Consciousness also dependent object become. So you cannot accept self-permanent consciousness. because if dependent the object, your self-consciousness is not permanent. Object is impermanent, then subject self-consciousness also must be impermanent. Understand, right? Yeah, so easy. Just actually, if the consciousness is permanent, then you have to hear all the time sound, 24 hours. Then if no sound there, you say, oh, because the consciousness don't hear the sound, no sound object is there, then consciousness also not permanent. So still you say consciousness is there. If without the sound, that is not possible. Without object cannot be consciousness there. That subject cannot be there. 61. That's the following, just this 60 verses. 61 is if there can be a consciousness that apprehends sounds, even though there is no consciousness of sound. See, if no consciousness of sound, still your consciousness that apprehends sounds, then it would absurdly follow that even a piece of wood could become a consciousness of a sound. So that is like impossible, just example, impossible. So even that this is like no possible example. Shantideva just giving like very strong against words for them. Against means like just giving the so strong the instruction. The main point is if the consciousness didn't apprehend the sound, but that still you say, oh, this is a consciousness, then piece of a word also can be consciousness, because even he don't receive any object, but you can call, you can call is consciousness. So that even a piece of word could become a consciousness of a sound. That means like impossible like that, Yeah. So the what problem is this samjas goal, even no object that has consciousness. The consciousness is actually useless. Nothing receive any object, but still they say consciousness. Then Shantideva say, okay, even no object, you can say consciousness. Then piece of word also you can say consciousness, because it's just whatever you wanted to say. It's no logical anything there, So therefore, without an object of consciousness remaining close by, we can definitely say that there is no consciousness that apprehends it. So no object sound is there. So then you can say there no consciousness there too. The consciousness that apprehends is true. You can say that there definitely say that there is no consciousness. You don't have to say still you have consciousness there that apprehends it. Because no object, then you can say no consciousness apprehends sounds. True. If object is not there, then you have to accept subject also not there. So that's the Shantideva giving answer. No samkhya have said no like that. So what they're going to say, when there is no sound, okay, samkhya say if there is no sound, it does not mean that there is no apprehender of it because so if no object sounds, but you still samkhya say we cannot say no subject consciousness mind there. Because at a later time, when no sounds are present, so Samkhya said the sound is become not present. Even consciousness is there, subject is there, but object sound is not present. That's the reason this consciousness not receiving, but actually there's a consciousness is there. But that is the kind of approving. The consciousness means like you must have to have object to receive that. If you receive the song, then you say this is the consciousness that apprehends sound. If no sound, then they don't have consciousness that apprehends sounds. Because no sound, then no consciousness too. But this is Samkhya say that time the sound is no object is not close to there. Even the sound, the consciousness is there. Consciousness that apprehends sound, consciousness there, permanent is there, but object is not close to that. That's why. In the previous consciousness of sound, this also Samkhya sound becomes consciousness of visual forms and so forth. So he said that consciousness, the consciousness that apprehends the sound is become the consciousness that apprehends the visual form object. That's why that during that time, you cannot hear the sounds because the consciousness apprehending the visual object, consciousness of visual form and so forth. Yeah, or form or taste or smell or something like other follow the other object. So the Samkhya says actually consciousness permanent is there, but he don't hear all the time song because he follow the other object. Yeah. These two consciousness are one thing. So the main point, the apprehend the sounds, apprehend the form and other any object, whatever the consciousness hold, there's a consciousness is the same and one thing. So that's the we think. We also have that thought. Yeah. So we think we have one consciousness, they go to receive different kind of object. But this problem is they accept that consciousness is a self and permanent. Mayamika can accept that, but Mayamika didn't say the mind is permanent, self. Mayamika said same is object, mind also same is object. Long as you have object, they have a mind, consciousness, but the consciousness also not permanent. It's impermanent. Consciousness is emptiness. That's why consciousness can follow all this object. If the consciousness is permanent, unchanging, self, then see you have to hear all the time sound, or all the time you have to see one object. You cannot see many different kind of object. Same is like just movie post that you already stuck the post because it cannot change. The permanent means. So no Mayamika, in this case, at that time of that consciousness of visual form, why is no sound heard? The Mayamika said, when you see at that, in this case, so at that time of that consciousness means like of visual form, that consciousness, why is no sound is heard? You have to hear the sound still, because the the consciousness that apprehends the sound were permanent. So you have to hear all the time sound. Why you cannot hear the sound that time? So that's the Mayamika asked question for this Samkhya. Samkhya says it is not heard. That time we don't hear the song because no sound exists in this proximity. The sound is not in there, so that's why they cannot hear. That time the form is appeared to the consciousness. Conscious apprehend the object, form, not the sound, because the sound is absent there, not in there, not exist there. Exist in this proximity. So if the consciousness is not permanent, you can say that, but consciousness is permanent, self, unchanging, then that's the problem. Maya Minka. Therefore, conscious apprehension of it could not possibly exist. See, then Maya Minka said, yourself consciousness apprehends sound that is not exist, could not possibly exist, because it's not there. So if the consciousness is permanent, it must be all the time there. If when the sound object is not there, then your consciousness apprehension of it could not possibly exist, because if it's not there, it's not there. So just accept consciousness is not exist permanently. Then easy. So Shantideva said, just accept that, then you don't have problem. But why you say no exist things exist permanent? Hawkins, this also following Shantideva's answer. Hawkins something whose nature it is to apprehend sound, ever apprehend visual forms. See, how you can say that your consciousness is, apprehend the sounds, then ever apprehend visual forms. How can change to apprehend the form? Because the permanent consciousness cannot change that way. It could not, because their aspects are mutually exclusive. So main point is that whatever you say is actually that is not true, is cannot be approving. That the Shantideva says samjas perception, the view is the cannot approving the truth logically, cannot approving. So no samja also going to another give a question again. Actually, this part is samjas is giving answer. Shantideva giving the questions to the samjas. Question, like, because they're accepting this, mistake, permanent self. Their aspects are mutually exclusive, but so then the relation to two objects, the relation to two objects is like, say, the song and the form, right? These two objects. Occurring at different times, it is not contradictory to say that it is one consciousness apprehending them. So Samja says this one consciousness not receiving same time object and object form and sound. He says different time. So this permanent consciousness can receive first, apprehend the sound. Then sound is not there and object is not there. Then go to the form object. So receive, apprehend the form object. So that's why he said no contradiction there. No contradiction. But that is like actually Shantideva already give answer up there because the consciousness cannot have the permanent consciousness, no ability to do that. If your consciousness is impermanent, is emptiness, then you have ability have like that. But this consciousness is permanent self, so no ability like that. This is like one person who, so Samkhya says this is example who, in relation to his father and his son respectively. So he said, same is the father and the son. So father can be father, can be son. You know, like the example Thomas, his father, comparing to his father, he is a son. He can be father because he related to his son, right? So the Samkhya says consciousness is the same as Thomas. The Thomas, so you know, same as the consciousness as Thomas permanent self is. Then when he appear to the song object, it's become his son, you know, and he's become the form object. Then he's become father. So same person, but have like two faces. Can be father, can be son, because it's different related to, right? So like that, the example is like that. So it's okay that the example is temporarily correct for if the person actually don't accept self-permanent consciousness. See, it's okay. But example, Thomas is, if the father permanent, there's a Thomas is permanent. Then okay, he's permanent. Then how can he be go to son father? How can he go to the son? Father and the son means he's not permanent because he's dependent. He's dependent actually. His father, his son. He's dependent. His son, his father, right? But that means like Thomas cannot be permanent. So the example temporarily okay, but if they accept self-consciousness, they don't accept permanent, they're okay. But they accept self-consciousness, mind is permanent. They cannot be like dependent like each other. Make sense or no? Do you understand? But this is anyway, Samkhya said that it is posted as a son and a father. So like that. So they say Thomas is exist permanent. He is comparing to his father, his son. He's comparing to with his son, his father. So same Thomas, like that. They said, okay. So my Yamika answer is that the example is incorrect. The reason is, see, the consciousness itself is permanent. Example, Thomas is permanent. He cannot depend on the father. He cannot depend on the son. Right? So dependent means it's like impermanent. So it's permanent, then cannot be dependent. So Thomas must be father all the time. Does it matter compared to his father or son? He must be always father for every sentient beings. He must be father, right? Because all sentient beings have to see he is a father. Permanent, he is a father means he's not permanent father. He's like depending everything, you know. For us, he's our sangha, you know, spiritual friend. But comparing to his wife, his husband, comparing to his kids, he is the father. Comparing to his, you know, mother, he is a son. Father is a son, you know, like that. He's not permanent. So that means he's not exist permanent inherently there, or is dependent. And same like that, Shantideva said, if your consciousness is permanent, the example is incorrect. Mayamika, but in your tradition, it is not really true to consider a father and a son as one person, because your tradition means long as you accept a permanent self-consciousness, your tradition cannot accept that way. That means like Shantideva, he can accept that because he don't accept a permanent consciousness, right? So see, gang naga zona se gang la tomba nye ronga tela tamche ronga yin means who accept emptiness, everything is possible, everything is suitable. Who don't accept emptiness, nothing is suitable, nothing is possible for that person. So see, this samja also cannot be dependent on anything. That's permanent. Means like useless. Because in this case, the true existing matter, primal substance. So no Shantideva going into this primal substance. So this, samjas, like all this object is come from primal substance. The primal substance is a cause. Result is all the object. So no, the Shantideva going to the cause, primal substance is permanent. The primal substance, whatever you say, is like, they say like three kind of like together, balance is called primal substance. Okay, that is a cause, or the phenomena's cause. So Shantideva say, in this, log to this, your primal substance, not dependent anything each other. They don't have like dependent father and the son permanently there. So your cause, no dependent. That's why you cannot accept that. So that's he going to give answer. Primal substance which you accept as a non-appearing, equally balanced state of a pretty sattva or sattva. So the primal substance has like three things together. Primal substance is cause, create everything, right? This Samjas Guru says. So this primal substance has three comes together. It's Tibetic called Nyingto Dor Mingpa. So and here is English says like see balanced state of purity. Sawa is activity, is Nyingtop, Nyingtop is like kind of like essence of power. So in this primal substance has a essence of power or something, activity. And then also Rajaha is Sanskrit and darkness. So that is not clear. So that says is because it's not consciousness, it's not clear. It's very darkness. And then also that is it's tamaha, could be neither. So there's a tamaha, and they actually have three. So activity is essence of power, and then darkness. Another is like substantial, this all the matter object, material substantial object, like kind of the object usually we talk about atoms. So that kind, three things together comes together is balance. So that is causes, is like that is called the here's the primal substance. So this three of them is a balance, is primal substance. That is, there's a permanent that create everything. So Shantideva say, okay, log to this your cause. There could be neither a father nor a son. See, this activity is no father, darkness is no father and no son. Substantial, also the balance together, there also no father and no son is in there exist. Because it has true, your is a true independent existence. You accept like this cause is permanent, independent exist. So then that is cannot be father, there cannot be son, because the father and the son means dependent to each other. So the apprehension of a visual form does not exist as in apprehension of sounds, because if it is existed with that nature, it would surely be apparent, whereas it is never seen as such by a valid cognition. So then, so then your consciousness is permanent. Then always this permanent consciousness have to apprehension of songs all the time. But Shantideva said, we don't see that your consciousness have like that kind of ability. So your consciousness never apprehend all the time sound. Your consciousness, permanent consciousness, didn't have that kind of existing with that nature. It would surely be apparent, whereas it is never seen as such by valid cognition. Permanent self exists there. So that is the answer Shantideva give it to them. So now Samkhya says, for example, just as one actor has many different roles, this example also same kind of father and son, no much difference. So long as consciousness is not permanent, then you don't have this problem. But you accept, this permanent self-consciousness, not possible this too. Just as one actor has many different roles, so the performers, and they can performing like, always change the clothes. So you can perform you can be different kind of person. Because you can use the many different roles. The previous apprehension of song is later seen in another way. So there's first like I perform actually again like kind of like we say Lama dance, okay, performed Pema Sambhava, I put the mass and use Pema Sambhava dance, Guru Rinpoche dance. And after I change to Chinrezek mass, I put I dance Chinrezek. So actually inner person is there's no change, but its outer form is changing, performing outer form is changing. Inner actually who performing the person is the same person. So like that, and the consciousness can be perceived the sound, apprehend the sound, and then sound is not there. That same consciousness can apprehend the visual object. So that is the example. See, it's temporarily okay that way. It's looks like, yeah, it's true, right? We can accept that. So the who perform the person is the same. See, apprehension of the song is later seen in another way. As in apprehension of song is seen in another way, so they go back to change another way. As in apprehension of visual forms. So different performance you can do, but you can change. It's inner the person is the same. Only just alter this, like cloth performance is different. So that's exactly like that. Consciousness can apprehension other different kind of object, same consciousness. Okay, so that's also relatively okay if you don't accept permanent consciousness. They accept permanent consciousness. And if accept like permanent who dance this, different kind of performing roles, the person is permanent, that cannot change. The person cannot change because it's permanent. If the change, the person is impermanent. That's why they can do this different kind of performing, because the person is impermanent. That's the reason they can do this performing. If a person is permanent, this actress or actor is permanent, he cannot do this different kind of performance. Correct? Even he cannot move in his hands because he's a permanent, must be always like this. So no, Maya Mika, but then the consciousness can no longer be permanent because it keeps on changing into something else. So Shantideva said, okay, good example. Your consciousness cannot be permanent because it's all the time changing. So they don't want to accept that. Some just don't want to accept that. Yeah. Then my samja again, although the consciousness appears in other ways, its nature remains the same as before and is permanent. So just still the no accepting, they don't understanding what means permanent kind of, the thing is still inside the person is the same, remaining same. So like that, there, your consciousness apprehend the sound, then sound is not there, that your consciousness apprehend the form of a visual object. So that's a thing, consciousness is the same, but object is changing. The Shantideva said, no, your consciousness is changing. You cannot say permanent. My Amika, but such a oneness of nature, it's a type of oneness that you have never exerted before. So Samja says this, it is nature remains the same as before. Then what is that means? Like you have to know nature remains the same as before. The saying is consciousness is clear. That's a recognized object. That then so that consciousness is not changing, always the same. So the main point they're saying is like the consciousness is the same as the glass, and the object is the same as the color. Like glass, you can show the green color in the glass is become green, and you see the become different kind of colors that the apart to that kind of different. See like this see, you can see the like yellow, right? Become okay. So that said, the form is like this. The consciousness is the same as this camera. Camera is always there. So this whatever the hold, so then become this is changing. Object is changing. Camera is always the same. So consciousness is a permanent, same as the camera. It's clearly there all the time. But then this is changing. So that's their example. So then Shantideva say, okay, but such a oneness of nature, like same as a camera seeing clearly, permanent, a type of oneness that you have never exerted before. So that kind, Shantideva said, never ever have anyone before. Can like apprehend the sound and object too. So then this Samjas ask question again. Their example, is going to like their view. Consciousness appears in other ways, and although their different modes are not true, see, this consciousness is like same as just I show you the camera, but then although the different modes are not true means like this is they say not true. Okay, so what I'm showing, like I show this is you can see is the orange, I mean the yellow color. I show you this, you see the camera through, it's orange, right? So I show you this, it's become white color, but they said this object is not true. The camera is like receiving all, is clearly no change. Camera is never change. That's the same thing we taught, right? We have exactly same idea. So their nature is one and the true. So means like the one camera only is true, exists permanent there. He didn't change anything, but only I showing you different kind of objects. So you see that object is changing, but camera is not changing. So like that, consciousness is not changing. All this object form is changing. Mayamika, but please tell us, what is this nature that is one and true? So tell me, you say your example camera is permanent, no change. Tell me that one never change. Tell me your consciousness permanent, self-permanent, is no change, is one. Tell me which kind. So then Samja, it is the nature of merely being consciousness that is one and true. So that says nature of merely being conscious as that is one. So all the consciousness is one and true, permanent, is because it's just all consciousness like clear, clear, permanent, clear and permanent. Same as a camera, like seeing clear is permanent, not changing. So form is changing. The camera is not changing. It's clear, permanent. So that's what they said. Like that. Then Mayaminka Shantideva not going to accept that because the camera is not permanent. That's why the camera, receive different kind of object. Same like that, consciousness cannot be one permanent clear. If one permanent clear, clarity, self permanent, then cannot receive any object. Mayaminka, in that case, it would follow that the minds of all different individuals are one because their truths are similar in merely being conscious. Furthermore, if the Shantideva says, if you accept that consciousness is one, clear, permanent self, so then all the sentient beings' consciousness has become one because it's all is clear, permanent. So Shantideva says become all the sentient beings' consciousness is one, so minds of all different individuals are one, become, because their truths are similar. Similar means like what they accept. Samja says, nature of merely being conscious as that is one and true. So if you accept that way, then all these sentient beings' consciousness is one consciousness because it's a similar consciousness. In merely being conscious. Furthermore, still more explain. The self like permanent self-consciousness. The self is this samjas, like the accepting self is permanent consciousness. Self that has intentions. This self is a consciousness because it has intention. And the primal substance that has no intentions. See, this primal substance is object, no consciousness. It's cause. So this is primal substance that has no intention because it's no mind. Intentions would also become one. So the main point Shantideva says, your self, permanent consciousness, who has intention, your creator, primal substance is no intention because they don't have consciousness, it's no intention, it's object. These two become one. You must be is become one. Why? Because both exist. Permanently both exist. So the reason is like just some just what up there he says like and it is the nature of merely being consciousness that is one and true. This all consciousness is one because consciousness is just permanent self and clarity, permanent self. So that's the reason they say all the consciousness is one. Then that's the reason you say consciousness is one, permanent. Then you can accept, your self consciousness and your creator, primal substance also you can say is one because both exist. Same reasons. So that means like the logic is incorrect. If you say like that, then you also have to accept like this way. That is not possible. Main point is because they are similar in merely being existent, no ever entities. So that's both are exist permanent. Then you say this both are why you say separate. It's you just say it's the same. The reason is both exist. And you say all consciousness is the same because it's all is clear and self. That's the reason all the consciousness is the same. So you use that reason, it's become same. Then also you use same reason, this self consciousness, primal substance also you say same. Both exist. Existing non-able entities. When particular consciousnesses, the apprehensions of sounds, visual forms, and so forth are mistaken and untrue. So when particular consciousnesses, it's all the different kind of consciousnesses. That apprehension like this, like the song consciousness or visual object consciousness or taste consciousness, the different kind, like this senses object consciousness, apprehension of sounds, vision forms, and so forth are mistaken and untrue. They all is the same consciousness. Then they're going to receive all this different kind, object, but they can be mistake because it's not true. Shantideva says they can be mistaken and untrue. How can they have one true general aspect? They don't have one general true aspect, namely a similar basis of merely being consciousness. So you say all the same consciousness. So that's the reason is the same. They cannot, because it is illogical for the general aspect of something to be true when all the particular aspects are false. So this or the form is incorrect. Form is like this Sanjas, the beginning, I told the information. This all the phenomena, this is false, means delusion, no exist permanently, delusion. Only self-consciousness and the primal substance, these two is permanent. So primal substance is like I told this, like first when we talked the teaching, like same as a mirror, right? Mirror, like two sides, and arise self-consciousness into the mirror, and other part is like all this object is appear to in this mirror. So mirror is the same as the primal substance, and then this consciousness seeing this other object, and he using all this other object. 5 faculties, object, senses, or he using the self-permanent consciousness using. So then this all object is created by this primal substance. So then this Samkhya says one day this self-consciousness permanent recognize or is other is delusion. So then he becomes shy himself. He didn't receive this object, is then he is become liberate himself. So he don't bind with this object senses, free from that, one day. So then he's become free from like called liberation, this Sugur says. And the main point is Shantideva just giving answer is like this self-consciousness permanent is one, and then how can he object is so many there. Object can receive different kind because cannot receive. The reason is a permanent consciousness is one. If he change, then this is not permanent. If he don't change, then he always have this heard the sound all the time. So he says it's mean he's no change, but all is the same. All this consciousness is the same. Then Shantideva say all consciousness become same. You accept that, then you can say this primal substance also same is this consciousness because both exist, both are permanent. Why you don't say these two together same? They said no, it's this consciousness, is they receive this all different kind of sound and object. Then Shantideva says if your permanent this consciousness is one, and then how he going to receive this song and forms different kind, he going to mistake because it's one permanent. So that kind of he giving more answers is debating. The main point is long as you accept a permanent self-consciousness, then you cannot receive any apprehend any song and forms. So long as then our consciousness is not permanent, then we have these all abilities. If we accept the self-permanent, no any ability to receiving the object. So that's you have to understand. That means like our consciousness is not self. So permanent, we don't have a permanent self. We have a delusion self. Delusion self is investigate, you cannot find. Intellectually cannot find. But delusion means we have I and self. So then that is within our consciousness, our this form body, 5 aggregates. All this comes together. We are deluded. We say I am, self. But use logic, investigate intellectually. Self is not consciousness. Self is not your form body. So self means it's not exist. So truly, absolute truly, self is not exist. So now we're going to the next one, a refutation of self postulated by the Niyayaka score. So this score accept is form is self. They say we don't have this problem. There also, knows Shantideva debating with these samkhya's. They say, oh, samkhya has problem. I don't have this problem because I don't accept consciousness permanent self. I accept form, body is self. Okay. The form also, they don't really say this body, you know, our form body. Just there's a phenomena is self. This one is like more worse than actually first one. But they try to better the other one, but then some reasons they go more worse than that. The Niyayakas accept a permanent, partless, material phenomenon within the being of an individual as the self. See, they accept that kind of self. This self is claimed to be able to experience objects because it is endowed with a separate mind. So this is like separate mind. No mind is the self, but object. This phenomena is self is who recognize this is experience object because it is enjoined with a separate mind. So mind recognizes that, but actually mind is no self. It's actually no logic, you know. So that's their view. Mayamika. Furthermore, no material phenomenon cannot be the self that experiences objects because it is lacks the nature of mind, just like a job. See, so that cannot be Mayamika say your permanent self we cannot accept. The reason is that don't have a mind, and no mind then is it is like the nature of a mind, just like a jug. It's just piece of like young, or just same as a cup. This cannot be self, right? So now you see this way. Okay, Mayamika accept consciousness is self. Looks like right, but he said no consciousness there cannot be self. So other hand, you think, oh, Mayamika accept consciousness is self. No, Mayamika don't accept anything. That's why no one can beat Mayamika. No target there. So others who debating with Mayamika, they lost. The reason is Mayamika don't have a target. Then you cannot shoot arrow anything there. Then Mayamika just only pointing their problems. He said, I don't accept anything. I don't have problem. Yeah. So then he said, you all accept these things. If you accept this, then you have this problem. He all pointed out these problems for them. Then their pointing problem, him, he said, no, you cannot pointing me any problem. I don't accept anything. So that's the Mayamika. And Niyayaka, although it although it itself is not of the nature of the mind, they say yes, the self is no nature of mind. It does experience objects because of being enjoined with us, endued with a separate mind. So it's anyway, they said the mind knows that, mind recognizes that is a self. Actually, the permanent self is no mind, it's object, but we don't have problem. You say, oh, your self is no mind, that's why cannot be self. Your self is the same as the jug. He said, no, I don't have that problem because my self is no consciousness. If consciousness, then same problem is the samjas. But myself is object, phenomena. Then, but what you said that I don't have problem, mind recognize that. You know, mind recognize the self. So that's why he says enjoined with a separate mind. He knows that. That's mind knows that. Then no sense is just you say is like a jug or jug something like that. He said, no, he don't have that problem. So no, Mayamika, this is illogical. So Mayamika said, no, this is really incorrect. For when a self, by nature not conscious as of objects, so for when a self, by nature not conscious as of objects, so you said that your nature, the self is no consciousness object, comes to be conscious of them through being enjoined with a mind. So then mind recognizes that object. You say yourself is mind going to perceive that object, self. It absurdly would follow that in becoming a conscious self, the non-conscious self would perish, and hence no longer be permanent, as you assert. So this the main point is Shantideva answer is what they accept is, of course, the self is no consciousness, it's just object. Then consciousness recognize that self. So that it absurdly would follow that in becoming a conscious self. Then this self is become follow the consciousness, is self. The non-conscious self would perish and hence no longer be permanent, as you assert. So I have to check this one. Is like clearly what is the root text, the Tibetan commentary says. Khenpo Samdup Simjin Simbadan Bembani Bajim is an Zogdaso. She's a one in Shindon dead and a Darango Mishipa, Pembit Namba Kilam, the Samba the Nekan Japan the Town Jersey. So the Mayamika, the main point is you accept this self is no mind, no consciousness. No consciousness, receive that. You say consciousness, experience this self. Then that means like your self is not permanent, because you said your self permanent is no consciousness. No, you say your mind receiving this, mind get experience this self. So that means like your consciousness, you saying is, your self permanent is object, no consciousness. That is become contradict. So Mayamika point is that his saying words is become contradiction. He accepted this self is permanent, is not consciousness. It is the object that he accept. So no consciousness recognize, experience that self. So that means your permanent self, what you accept is lost, is perish, means like your accept is gone. Self would perish and hence no longer be permanent, as you assert. What you says, then self permanent cannot be permanent, because see, consciousness endowed with that, receiving experience, then whatever you're saying is cannot be become like that. So now, next is even if the self were unchanging, then who, through being endowed with a mind. So if your self is, like say, unchanging, permanent, then how can mind can work with that? Mind cannot be actually cannot be work with this self permanent. So through being endowed with a mind, could a self that is not conscious as of objects, see, self permanent is not mind, it is a permanent object, comes to be conscious as of them. How can the mind can be receive that object? How mind can work with that object? Not possible. So this would not be possible. See, this is not possible, cannot be accepted. Thus, if you accept as the self something that is not conscious of object because it is matter, so you accept self is permanent, that is not mind, it is object because it is matter and separated from the function of producing effects because it is permanent, then space would also be a self. So then this permanent self is no consciousness. Long as your self permanent is no consciousness, no useful, no any like function to create anything. So they don't have a function to create anything, then your permanent self is the same as the space. So you can say like your permanent self is the space because you just even that yourself is like no exist, nothing, but you say self is like permanent exist, like even you cannot like show anything, you cannot point anything, still you say self is permanent, it is produce everything, it is creator. So then you can, Shantideva say, okay, you can say whatever you want, you can say this space is self. Then he said, you are a little bit crazy, you know. It's really crazy because no any pointing anything can show like self. So that's Shantideva debating with this who accept self is consciousness, who accept self is the object. The both are incorrect. So main point, see, Mayaminka, we relatively delusionally we have self, but that is not really use this logic, absolute truth logic, cannot prove anything, cannot point any object self and permanent. Okay. So now rejection of arguments concerning identitylessness. So now here this is like Shantideva going to debating with all this who accepting, you know, self-permanent. And so that thing, if not self-permanent, then cannot be cause and effect. If they're not self-permanent, we cannot meditate the love and the compassion. If not self-permanent, then so cannot function anything or these relative things. So they think that they're going to debate with Shantideva again. So this all who accept a permanent self. Argument concerning identitylessness. If they don't have a self, then they have this. The thing is like cause and effect is not possible. Question first. 70 verses 70. If the self were not permanent, the relation between the action and its effect. So action is a cause, effect is a result. So you do the create accumulation merit is action, right? And then we received accumulation merit is happiness. So that is the effect. So then this all this who going to debate the Shantideva, they are follow the cause and the effect. So included all these non-Buddhists, they also follow the cause and the effect. And then all these Buddhists like Vibhashika, Satantrika, they also inspired of this. They're debating with Shantideva. So they say, okay, we have this, cause and effects. If the self were not permanent, the relation between the action and its effect, how can work that? Yeah, the deal of the action coming to experience the results of the actions committed. So see, who create this action, like who create virtuous deeds, the result is happiness, happening. Who create non-virtuous deeds, the result is suffering. So action coming to experience, see, experience is happiness or suffering, the result of the actions committed. So then if the no self permanent there would not be maintained, then how can this cause and result is maintained? So now we create, see, karma, but then how can we receive the result future life? Because we are no same person, different. Actually, I am no exist, then I'm create things, like who going to receive the karma? So you can have that thought, right? We all can have that thought. Still our mind is this group, long as we don't have realized emptiness, we are this, who against the Shantideva, that the group, we are part of that still. So you also can think that way. This is so because this is the correct, is so because the dear would perish as soon as the action was committed and would not exist at the time when it come to experience the effects of his action. Therefore, whose action would that be to be experienced? So we create a karma in this life. Then we create a karma when we, die. Then future life, who going to receive that karma? Because self is no exist. Who can receive that karma? Future lives. Creator, receiver is different. That means like karma doesn't work, because even you create a karma, good karma, but someone going to receive. If you create a negative karma, you don't going to get suffering future life. That is someone going to receive it. It's always like kind of, lost cause and effect, result all gone. So that main point is this group says, Shantideva, you are nihilism. You don't have a cause and effect because you don't accept the self. Then why we do the practice? Shantideva answer. The basis for the causal action, the cause, causal action, causal action, the aggregates of this life, and the basis for the ripening effect, the aggregates of the fruit of the future life, are distinct states of being. He said yes. So somebody he said yes. Main point is we create, like cause in this life. So future life, the person who receiving, that are different. That's Shantideva say, yes, it's different, no same person. Distinct state of being is cannot be same. So the Shantideva said, like, see, we create a cause and the result also different. And the person also different who receiving that. Creator, we create a good karma, we are creator. And the future we receive that result also different. And since in both this state, it is externally both for you. So Shantideva said, okay, so that is like you and me both are same. You also create cause the permanent self in this life, create, but future life, the self, you also accept a different self. Then same thing, Shantideva say, I also accept in this life, creator is not exist creator. Future life also who receive the benefit or result also not the same person, but is not the permanent. So he said just saying you accept and I accept is the same thing, because you also knows you create cause, the result is different. The creator person who received that benefit also different self. So you accept that. He says same as I accept is different, no same. Because you accept a permanent self, and for us, you also say permanent self accept, and for us, because we accept addictlessness. So Shantideva say we accept the selflessness of a person. That the self neither commits the action nor experiences the effect. That is the self neither committed the action nor experiences the effect. It is not meaningless to argue on this point. So you accept the permanent self, I accept selflessness of a person, but when who create and the result is also different, not same. So then why we going to argue with that? You also actually knows creator and receiving is different. And I also Shantideva says same accept, just selfless, I accept selflessness of person create, receive, selflessness of person received. So you accept create selfless, this permanent self create, receive permanent self, but they also actually who created cause is who receive a result is different. So you also accept that. Then we don't have to argue that anything there. It's just same. Main point, Shantideva said. Then objection means like they say no same, totally different. I have good reason, you don't have good reason. So that's they're going to against Shantideva. But what about actions? Whose fruits? So action who create a cause, whose fruits will be experienced in this life. They do not have different basis aggregates upon which the causal action is committed and the result is experienced. So Then here, there's just kind of very similar, just what we talked up there. You know, what about action? They're just talking about the action is we create a cause. Then whose fruit, who received that result, will be experienced in this life. So we can be result arise in this life, correct? So they say, ask question Shantideva, we accept that, right? They did not have different bases, aggregates upon which the casual actions committed and the result is experienced. Then they say you don't have, because you first you don't have who create and who receive. That person is self is not exist. The main point they say whatever you create, no receiver there. They said I have a creator, I have a receiver. You don't have creator, you don't have a receiver. So that means you don't have cause and effect. Answer, the Shantideva answer, nevertheless, in the same moment, the nevertheless in the same moment means like when you create, same time you cannot receive the result. So cause and the result cannot be together. Shantideva, the main point is cause and the result cannot be together. It is impossible to see the aggregates of someone committing a casual action being subject to the experience of its result. So the not possible someone create, like who has aggregates, someone create this cause, and that person subject to be experience of a result of its result is the received result. The same aggregates not possible to receive that. Just as a father and his son cannot be born at the same time. So father, son, and cannot be born together. Shantideva said, your aggregates create the cause, then the same time that's your your five aggregates that cannot get a result. Because the same five aggregates who create a cause, that same five aggregates cannot get a result. So otherwise, like same is like father, son born together. Means like creator and receiver cannot be together. So our five aggregates must be different, cannot be same. It's different means they're not permanent self there. So actually, who accept no self-permanent, who accept means like who don't accept the permanent self, then there can have creator, there can have a receiver, but who really accept a permanent self, there cannot be first create anything cause, then there cannot change, who can they receive result. So this, who going to debating with Shantideva, their thing without permanent self, then cannot create the cause, cannot receive the result. But logically, if you accept permanent self, you cannot create cause. You cannot receive the result because it's permanent. So they don't understand that. That's why they're debating. But actually, there has all this problem. They don't have a creator. They don't have a receiver because it's a permanent. It's useless. The self-permanent is the self-permanent is permanent. How he can create the cause? Create a cause means impermanent. So we create accumulation merit because we are impermanent. That's why we don't have permanent self. That's why we can create all these causes. And we can receive it because we are not permanent. So this group, except the self-permanent, they cannot really create, they cannot receive. They actually pointing Shantideva is nihilism, you don't accept cause and effect. But actually, their problems, they really cannot do anything if they follow their view. Objection means they say no, they don't accept, but it says in the one scripture means they're going to use the Buddha's scripture. They use the Buddha's quote. It's like, see, this is who accept the Buddha's teaching, say, however someone else experience the result of the actions one commits. So the Buddha said, whoever someone else experience the result of the action one commits, who receive this, like, someone create good karma, they receive that, happiness, commits, all monks, the action you commit and accumulate when not wrapping on such things as the external earth element, but upon your future aggregates grasped by consciousness. So that's Buddha says. Buddha said, oh, your monks, you create accumulation merit. That merit is future, no one going to receive that future, you receive that result. That result is not going to receive by earth, not receiving by fire and other elements. So that result is only future your aggregates receive that, benefits. That's Buddha says. So you don't accept Buddha's teaching, then what you're going to do this Buddha's teaching? Thus does not your assertion contradict this statement that the doer of the action must experience its result himself? So you are contradicting Buddha's teaching, and you're contradict Buddha's teaching, and also they said we create good conduct here in this life, we can receive the benefit future life ourselves, right? So that result is not going to receive someone else. So that results we receive ourselves. We create ourselves, results come to us. Answer, Shantideva say answer. This statement is to be interpreted as follows. So then that statement is like, see, they use the Buddha's scripture. So that's Shantideva going to explain the Buddha's teaching. This statement is to be interpreted as follows. While actually considering this some continuity of the individual, the Buddha taught that the deal of the action is the experience of the result in order to prevent people denying the law of karma, cause and effect. So Buddha said that because you create something, someone create good karma, that the karma is actually not permanent. Karma is impermanent, karma is emptiness, but still you can receive. Who can receive that? While actually considering, see, the same continuity of the individual. So we have same continuity individually, same continuity going, like same is the river, same river, right? River is like following, and you see all the time same river, like, so that's why we can put the name. You don't have to change everyday name, right? So like that, continue. We have that. Shantideva said, like, this we are impermanent and subtle level, see, changing, moment to moment changing. That is continue. So right now our present consciousness bring the next one continue, but they are not same, they are not permanent. It is impermanent, they are not same, but still kept going continue. Same as the river. So they're going to receive. Shantideva, they're going to receive. Same continue going to receive. And that is not permanent. That is not same person, creator and receiver, but continue, same continue. And then the Buddha shared this, the cause is the reason is someone don't accept the karma cause and the effect. Buddha used this statement, who don't accept the karma cause and the effect. He shared this same continuity of the individual can receive this cause and the effect. Buddha told that the deal of the action is the experience of the result in order to prevent people denying the law of karma, karmic cause and effect, who don't accept karma cause and effect. That's why Buddha shared this karma cause and effect teaching for them. Because no self-permanent there, creator, receiver, no same, but have same gene continue. So that is like, see, momently we changing, right? The right now, our present moment is bring the next moment, but it's the same continue. Actually, they are different, not same. So see, 1 hour, we say 1 hour, and the first minute, the second minute is different, right? 1 hour have 60 minutes. See, first minute, second minute is different. First minute is gone, and the second minute is there comes, bring that. Then second minute is go 30 minutes. So they are different, but it's the same continue. So then first minute create the, cause. Maybe like result is come to like 30 minutes or 45 or 60. Before 60, they come to like result. Okay. So result is happening, but the minutes is different. The creator receiving minutes is different. So like that is moments is different. The not same permanent one, they're unchanging. Actually, this is not true, not so, because a permanent self is non-existent. So that's the Shantideva said, this is not so because a permanent self is non-existent. Permanent, no need permanent self. Still, you have this cause and effect. Caution. But why it is the no permanent self? Then there's a why not permanent self? So answer. Oh, so we can leave that today. Question and answer, there's no permanent self. Okay, so time is finished. Teaching must be finished. If teaching is followed by time, time is not followed by teaching, right? Thank you, everyone. So then see you evening.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Did you want to
Thank you,
dedicate-
everyone.
Yeah.
Khenpo,
later.
do you want a dedication?
Yes.
Khenpo, okay.
Emaho, in the center is Mavalos Buddha Amitabha of boundless light. On the right side is the Lord of great compassion, and on the left is Vajrapane, the Lord of powerful means. All surrounded by limitless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Immeasurable peace and happiness is the blissful fueling of Devachi. When I and all beings pass from samsara, may we be born there without taking samsara rebirth. May I have the blessing of meeting Amitabha face to face. By the power of the blessing of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, may we attain this aspiration without hindrance. Tiyada Pinzandaya Vambodhanaya Soha. Bodhicitta, the excellent and the precious mind, where it is humble, may it arise, where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. By this virtue may I achieve omniscience, by defeating all enemies, confusion may all who travels on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, cross the ocean over samsara, magically they will all realize the ultimate state, and as did Samandabhada, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. May the teaching of Great Gompa Ranashri, who is omniscient, Lord of Dharma, Master of Interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until end of the samsara. Thank you, everyone. See you evening.
Thank you so much, Khenpo.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you, Khenpo. See you
Thank you.
tonight. Khenpo, see you later.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you, everyone.